My father said with sarcasm, "You could become nothing." The next morning I released the company's new advertisement, the one featuring the very property he had taken away from me. When he saw the signature at the bottom, his hands trembled. Seo, the same failed daughter. My father had said those words as if he were pressing a finger against some old, unhealed crack inside me. His tone carried the same dry contempt I had heard since childhood, as if every failure was pre-written and he was merely reciting it aloud. I sat at the dining table, staring at my hands, listening to his footsteps echo through the hallway of the house that was supposed to be mine. The house he once claimed he was transferring to me and later snatched back with a single sharp sentence. "You don't understand business. We'll keep the papers." That night I didn't argue. I didn't even raise my voice. I just sat alone in the dim living room of my tiny studio apartment, the one whose heater barely worked through the winter, and stared at the old logos of my modest real estate marketing firm. It wasn't much: leased space, cheap equipment, and 15-hour workdays that barely kept my bank balance above zero. My health insurance was days away from lapsing most months. I never told my father these things because he always said, "It's your own fault. You make bad decisions." Maybe he was right. Maybe I really was nothing. And yet, something inside me kept burning in quiet defiance. The next morning I reached my office early, my cramped little space above the Main Street coffee shop where the smell of blueberry muffins drifted upstairs every morning. My hands trembled as I powered up my computer, but for the first time in a long time my mind felt clear. Client lists, old drafts, and used ad concepts, all scattered across my screen. And there it was. The ad I had created months earlier for my father's property, the house I had once believed would be my first major professional milestone. Legally, my name had been removed from it. Emotionally, it still lived inside me. I opened the file. I adjusted the lighting in the photos, softened the colors, rewrote the captions, and then paused at the final line. The signature. The cursor blinked at me like it was asking, "Are you sure?" I typed my name. The same failed daughter. When the ad was finished, I exhaled deeply, as if releasing years of bitterness from my lungs. I knew this was risky, reckless even. Some would call it stupid. Our firm had taken a major downtown billboard slot for the month, a cost we could barely justify. If this move backfired, my company wouldn't just struggle, it would collapse. But I hit publish without hesitation. By sunrise, the phone began ringing. First once, then twice, then nonstop. My assistant Julia practically burst into my office. "Emily, you're trending. The ad is everywhere. People are calling it bold, like insanely bold." My pulse stumbled. Bold. Yeah. People love that you marketed the house your dad took from you. Someone posted, "She used the house her dad stole from her to build her empire." People on the internet loved dramatics. Around noon, my father's name appeared on my phone screen. I didn't answer. A moment later, he sent a 2-word message. "We need to talk." I slipped my phone into my pocket and stepped outside. The winter air bit at my cheeks as I walked down Main Street. A stranger outside the coffee shop nodded at me and said, "Hey, good ad." That took guts. He didn't know me at all, yet his casual compliment sent a warmth through my chest that I didn't know I needed. By evening, he showed up. My father, standing at the doorway of my office, brushing dust from his jacket, his expression torn between anger and disbelief. "What have you done?" he demanded without greeting. I launched an ad. I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup. "That house, the property, is not yours anymore." His voice rose like I had somehow forgotten. "I know," I said quietly. "But the story is mine. And I can market my own story." He didn't like that answer. He stepped inside, sinking into the chair across from me like a businessman facing a PR disaster rather than a father facing his daughter. "People are calling me," he growled. "They're saying I took something from you. You've been reckless. This could hurt you legally, Emily." For the first time, I saw in his eyes the same uncertainty that had always lived in mine. "Dad," I said, "you always said I could become nothing. Maybe you were right. Maybe I still won't become anything. But today, for the first time, the world is seeing my work. And they seem to think I'm doing something right." He didn't speak for several seconds. Then his gaze drifted to the printed ad lying on my desk. He stared at the bottom line, the signature he'd once mocked. "Yo, Emily Harper." His hands trembled. For perhaps the first time in my life he truly saw me, not as a disappointment or a burden or a failed investment, but as someone who had built something without him. He finally whispered, "You did all of this alone?" I shrugged. "Yes. Because no one ever left me any other choice." He stood wordless, searching for a response he didn't have. At the door he muttered, This wasn't right." But there was no anger in his voice, only an empty, uneasy softness. After he left, I sat alone for a long time. The evening noises drifted in, cars rushing past, the bell ringing at the coffee shop below, strangers laughing on the sidewalk. Life was moving. And for the first time I felt myself moving with it, not behind it. By the end of the week we had signed 3 major clients. Real ones, high value, high trust. For the first time I had enough money to fix my health insurance, to buy a real heater for my apartment, to breathe without fear of the next bill. Little miracles to the world, but to me they were everything. I never got the property back. I never received a dramatic apology from my father either. Maybe I never will. But I earned something else, something he never believed I possessed. A voice worth hearing, a courage worth respecting, and a place in the world I carved out on my own terms. And when my billboard lit up the following week, glowing against the dark sky, my name shone beneath it, the same name someone once called a failure. I stood on the sidewalk, hands tucked into my coat pockets, staring up at it. And in my heart I said only one thing. I'm becoming something. In my own way. If Emily's journey of courage and self-worth inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more powerful stories. Your support helps us keep bringing meaningful content to life. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay bold, and keep believing in your own story.